Yeah, I'm watching. I'm going to my buddies tonight to watch UFC, so that'll be fun. This isn't gonna be very long. I'm just gonna kind of. So I just watched Arjo's video on the breakaway gap theory or whatever, and I just want to. Before I haven't really gone to charts and look for myself, but I just want to kind of test it a little bit. Um, I'm sure you guys will be interested. So again, trying to provide as much content as I can to you guys, just so it's worth it. And I know this is really late notice, but um, yeah, I'm gonna record this. Don't worry. I'm gonna start in like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna wait for a couple more people to join because I know it's really short notice. I do have a video on SMT's Merc. Yeah, let me share my screen. Did you guys watch my video that I posted about MMXMs? It's literally such a good video. Like, and I don't really explain that a lot on stream either. Like the IRL and the ERL. Arjo is decent. He kind of has some of his made up stuff, which is fine. But I mean, I like his videos. I don't really watch him that much, but good person, good vibes. He doesn't get in the drama that much, so or he doesn't get into drama at all. But yeah, good guy. Bro, I'm going to my buddies tonight to watch a UFC fight. That's why I'm doing this now. All right, let me get started. So again, I'm not gonna be taking like entries or anything. I'm just gonna kind of be. I'll show you what I'm doing. So basically, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing. Let me just turn on off streamer mode. Okay. All right. So if you haven't watched the video, basically he has this theory where like if there's some sort of draw on liquidity, okay. If there's some sort of draw on liquidity, as of like right here, there's not a draw on liquidity here, right? Obviously, there's no draw here. This is all time highs. Yeah, I did hit record. Thank you for reminding me. There's. I know. You get what I mean, though. This is still. I mean, it's still all time highs. Doesn't matter here. Okay, so let's say this is a draw on liquidity, which obviously it's not. Maybe it was some like standard deviation or something, so it could have been like a standard deviation. Let's see if it was. Maybe it was a -2 or -2.5. Now it's too low. So maybe it's some sort of standard deviation. Maybe it's something else. Okay, but let's say it's a draw on liquidity. So basically, his theory is that if we close above, so there's a 3 candle fair value gap formation. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into replay mode. So we have our first fair value gap here. Okay, and then a fair value gap here. Right here. So basically, his theory is if we close above the high of this fair value gap, we are likely not to retrace into this fair value gap. We are likely to, but we're likely to more likely to hit the draw on liquidity first. Does that make sense? So if we get a close above this high, this fair value gap is likely not going to be traded into if we have a higher draw. Does that make sense, you guys? So that's like where he gets his like little breakaway gap from, and I don't think that's like an actual breakaway gap. Like it's just there. ICT explains the breakaway gap way different, but that's his theory. So basically, I'm going to kind of go through some examples and see how accurate this is on the lower time frame. So in this example, we get another fair value gap here, but at this point, let's say we already hit the draw on liquidity. Now we're allowed to retrace into this. Okay, now you can retrace into it. Okay, so there we retrace into it. So that's kind of the theory. So I'm just gonna be starting. I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't really remember any of this price action, but we're just gonna be starting here. So I'm just gonna look for some sort of expansion move. Okay, and look again. It's all gonna be. I'm gonna make sure I'm in like the New York session. Okay, so here's the New York session. And I'm gonna be kind of testing this. So yeah. So first one I see right here is this. To me, like we do close above this high, but do you guys see how like it's not really a great close above the high? This is what I'm kind of curious about. Like to me, this would mean okay, we're probably gonna retrace in this for like a, but a really strong body here would probably mean we're probably not. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like the difference between if this closes here, between the difference of if we close really, really high. Yeah, so that's kind of my theory I'm testing. Like, it would not make sense for this to be a breakaway gap based off this close. I'll show you another example in a second. So let's see if we get another one here. Okay, potential fair value gap here. So we have a fair value gap here. This would be the breakaway gap unless we hit this high or something first. Okay, so now we've hit this high, but is the draw higher here? I would say so. It is higher. Like we have equal highs above here. Would you guys agree the draw is higher here with these equal highs? And the overnight reversal? I mean, I don't think that. So to me, if the draw truly is higher, we should not retrace into this fair value gap. Is basically what he's saying. We could retrace into this one, but this one is a no-no. Okay, so let's just see. And what he said was, you go in the lower time frame if he said something about you go in a lower time frame if what did he say? I forgot what he said about the lower time frame thing. But anyways, this would be a breakaway gap because this is a strong close above this 3 candle formation. So we should not retrace into this one. Interesting. Okay, we don't. Alright, that's kind of cool to see. So we still know the draw's up there. Let's see if we get another one. Okay, this one. This is not a breakaway gap. Why is this not a breakaway gap? This appears to work nicely. It's not a breakaway gap because it's not that the candle dipped into it. The candle never really closed way above here. Like, see how this candle closed right here? Like, we never really closed above this breakaway gap, so that to me would not be a breakaway gap. Onarticus. To me, it's only like to me. I'm looking for like bigger closes, like this to me, right here. This would be the breakaway gap. Like this wasn't really a significant close. Okay. So we respect that. Same thing with right here. This isn't really significant. I don't know. Like that really isn't significant to me. Let me check like the hourly. This one would be a breakaway gap because now we hit the draw on liquidity. Let me check the 5-minute here. All right, this would be the breakaway gap in the 5-minute. See why this is the breakaway gap now? Because look, we have that 3 candle formation. We have one, we have the fair value gap, and then we have a way bigger close, closing way above the swing high. So this to me would be the breakaway gap, and meaning we should not retrace into it. See how that works? Yeah, I know Antarcticus, but I've seen better results with the bigger close below, above. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm kind of testing. I'm seeing if it matters or not. So, see, now that we fit the draw on liquidity, like this wouldn't be a breakaway gap. And even if the draw was higher, we should retrace into this because, yeah, we do. We should retrace into it because even if the draw is higher there, like, again, the body never really closed above there. You could use this for like momentum plays, in my opinion, Mike. I'm gonna try to call a few of these on stream. We'll see. So that's about that. Let me see if there's anything else. So here's another one, not a breakaway gap, right? Because this candle doesn't close way below here. Okay. Like this would be a breakaway gap. Yeah, this would be a breakaway gap. And you can see that would actually be good inversion, in my opinion. Just because it's a breakaway gap that failed. That's actually sick. So this one would be a good inversion. So I could actually tie this to inversions. Maybe. See how that works? Like this would definitely be a breakaway gap. Yeah, it could be used for a short too. Like this would be a breakaway gap. And you can see when we violate it, see how it's respected the other way. So this is something I do for the backtest. Again, not a breakaway gap. See, this is what I don't get. Like, this would technically be a breakaway gap, right, Onarticus? See, that's what I don't like, because this isn't significant enough to me. Because we close below this low of this candle, but it's not, it's respected. Like, to me, that would just be a 2022 model. So I'm thinking, like, it would probably be much better if we close way more below. See, this would be a breakaway gap as well. Right? Alright, let's see it. Does this work for an inversion? It does work for an inversion. Nice. So this is a breakaway gap, and it does work for an inversion. Okay. That's pretty cool, actually. I wonder how high we go. Do we go up there? No, it doesn't. But the market like this does work for an inversion, at least back to the internal high. Let me go back to New York session. All right. So like this would be a breakaway gap. So I wonder if this like would work as an inversion. This would technically, so both these would be breakaway gaps. And then this would be a breakaway gap. This one would not be. Oh wait, this one would be too. So I wonder if all these get disrespected. So these would all be breakaway gaps because we're closing way below the low. See how we're closing way below the low for all these? So let's see what happens here. Wow, all disrespected. That's actually kind of cool. This would not be a breakaway gap. I wonder if it comes. So now we know the draw on liquidity is here, but I don't think we actually go down to it. No, we don't. Let's see if this is actually respected. I don't know if we ever come into it. Do we ever come into this? No, we don't. Okay. See again, same thing with here. Like this would technically be a breakaway gap because we close way above this candle. But here's the thing: have we hit the and the draw is bullish here, unless it's could be 4. Yeah. So yeah, this would be a breakaway gap, but it still gets traded into. See, this is why I don't like fully like it. So that's a breakaway gap that gets traded into technically. Mike, basically, he kind of shows in his video how a breakaway gap is if we get a 3 candle formation, this one, and then a fair value gap, and then the candle that makes the fair value gap, if that closes way above, this makes this a breakaway gap. Personally, after watching the video, I do not like that, but I'm just backtesting anyways. Yeah, I know, right, champ? So I'm not going to run the 5-minute now. So again, this would not be a breakaway gap because you can see price is not closed way above this fair value gap, so that would not be a breakaway gap. This would be a breakaway gap, and this is used as a nice inversion. See, that's my take. That's how, to me, that's what I learned from ICT. That's what ICT says, and he says it's usually like a fast fair value gap out of like a BPR or something like that. Like, that's my take on it. But what Arjo is saying is this is a breakaway gap because we close out of this low. So he would not expect, if the draw is bearish here, which it's not actually bearish here, that's probably why this doesn't work. If the draw is bearish and this gets in, this would be get inverse because this is a breakaway gap, and if we retrace into this, this is bullish. So let me go back to New York session. All right. Again, this would be a breakaway gap. Okay, and then this doesn't actually get respected. We hit the low. See this? So this never actually gets respected. We hit the low. So that lines up. That checks out. It checks out. Okay, this is not a breakaway gap. See, I wonder if this candle close makes this a breakaway gap. So if the 940, so see how we don't retrace into the fair value gap? You guys see how we don't retrace into the fair value gap and then we get a dump here? Like, I wonder if that makes this a breakaway gap or not. If I had to guess, I would guess this does make it a breakaway gap, but I don't know. So to me, this wouldn't be a breakaway gap because this close wasn't really that significant. Okay. But his method says it would be. Same thing with this. This like not really big close here, so it wouldn't be a breakaway gap for me. This is a break-even trade though. That's interesting. So technically this is a breakaway gap, and technically this fails because price goes through this, hits this internal low. See, this is a breakaway gap again. See, this is what I don't understand. Like, this is why I don't really like the logic that much. Again, not my favorite, but I wanted to, maybe it's probably better into the higher time frames. Let me check the higher time frame. So yeah, I guess. So this would be the breakaway gap, but it gets retraced into. Oh wait, I think I remember in his video he kind of talks about this example. He says like, I remember he says he's like, this is a breakaway gap, but if it's a breakaway gap here, then we go to the lower time frame and we look for the next fair value gap that we get traded into. So this actually wouldn't be a breakaway gap because the 15-minute had a fair value gap at the same spot. So that would have been, this is not really a breakaway gap because of that reason. This is a breakaway gap again. Let's see, is this one? This is not a breakaway gap. This is a massive breakaway gap. But does it line up with an hourly or something? Or does it line up with a 15-minute? No, it doesn't. See, that's so weird. I was thinking maybe this lined up with like another one. Maybe it lines up with a 5-minute. Nope, it doesn't. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start paying a lot more attention to... Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking too, Chino. Or Chino. Like, if we take some sort of high, the breakaway's not valid anymore. But we don't really take this high here. See that? Yeah, all good, Nicole. Travel safe. Like, see in this example how we were ITH here? And we failed to hit this high, but we still retraced into here. See, I don't get that. It's very interesting. I mean, I guess because we hit this maybe. That's probably why. There's gotta be some sort of logic behind this. This one, again, he would say this is a breakaway gap. But in this example, we've hit a fair value gap here. So I don't think this would be a breakaway gap because this is technically a liquidity point. This is a breakaway gap right here. And you can see it brings us right to here. So this one makes sense. Because the candle closes way below. Okay, now it's not a breakaway gap, but it still works. This is a breakaway gap right here. Yeah, yeah. This is not a breakaway gap. It's not a breakaway gap because candle doesn't even close above. It's kind of like this little down hammer candle. This to me would be a breakaway gap. For sure. But we already hit the liquidity. This would be a breakaway gap until we hit this high because this candle does close over. So it is decently consistent on the higher time frame. Okay, I see why this is a breakaway gap now because we had a draw up here. And I bet you there's a higher draw. Yeah, there's a higher draw. Did we retrace into it though? Yeah, there was a higher draw here. So there's this draw and we never traced into this gap. We got pretty close but didn't. I remember one day I wanted the sell side but we never hit it. I actually want to see something here. Oh, that makes so much sense. This 4-hour wasn't a breakaway gap, but the hourly was. Because we closed above this fair value gap. So that actually kind of does make sense. Okay, okay. That was the day I called out sell side and we just weren't getting it. And I was like I remember it was still winning trade, but we never hit the final target. These are both the breakaway gaps. Yeah, I gotta forward test this a little more. Here's the real thing. We're gonna go on that FxReplay real quick because I'm curious. By the way, if you didn't sign up for my newsletter, make sure to sign up. You can just click the link or whatever. I don't know. I already sent it in, whatever. But yeah, click that link. All right. We're gonna do a quick FxReplay session. Okay, I'm not sure what this account is, but we're gonna do it anyways. So, this is a textbook conversion that just fails. I'm not sure why. That's really unlucky. I guess we're back testing yes. All right. All right, so technically this would be breakaway gap. So that means we should not retrace into it until we hit it this at least this low. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to take like plays off this. So I'm gonna actually place an order here. And I'm just gonna kind of see if this is profitable. Then he's obviously onto something. But again, if we think the draw is this low, actually probably this low if I had to guess, this is technically a breakaway gap. And I think the better way of doing this would actually be you're not gonna just short this candle. You're gonna actually go to the lower time frame and probably look for a play within this fair value gap and not this fair value gap. Like you would probably look for like a 15-second short in this is my guess. So I'm just gonna place an order here, market, sell risk 1%. And I'll just see how it plays out. Okay, so there's actually the first take profit right there. Okay, so there's the first take profit. I'm too slow to take profits, but so now to me this is not a breakaway gap. So we could retrace into here now. Okay, so I'm actually gonna move my stop up. Okay, I'm just gonna take some profit here now. Okay, nice. So that to me was a solid breakaway gap. Just because that closed right there. So this fair value gap works, not this one. So that was a nice, really good first example. So I'm just gonna keep playing price here. So now we hit sell side. We'll see if we get a breakaway gap to the upside. All right, technically this would be a breakaway gap. So again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna long here. Stop loss will be in this fair value gap, and then I guess we'll just target right here. Thanks, see you, Merc. So let's just try this. Wow, okay, stop at break even. I'm actually gonna scale some here. Damn, good scale. Wow, it does end up hitting. So this was a breakaway gap. That's kind of cool. So 2 for 2 on breakaway gaps because as long as we haven't hit the liquidity, price should not trade between them. What is that criteria? The criteria is this is so HH, you know about breakaway gaps, right? The criteria is kind of what Arjo just explained in his video. This would be a breakaway gap because we create 2 fair value gaps here and this closes above this high. If it didn't close above the high, then it wouldn't be a breakaway gap. Yeah, yeah. And like in this example, we did sweep sell side, so it made sense. So now, because this was a breakaway gap, I wonder if this would be a good inversion. Okay. This is a breakaway gap right here. So this has got to be good short now. So let's try this. Okay. Stop the break even. This is going to get stop the break even. Technically would have scaled 50% there anyways. Yeah, so stop the break even. But see, that's a breakaway gap right there. Because we got a candle close above, so we should not retrace into this if we're bullish. And we do. We inverse it, and then you can clearly see go back down. Yeah, if we close above the high, the fair value gap, this is a breakaway gap. I wonder if options can, or you guys could add this into like the 30-second model. Let me add them real quick. All right, so we take out south side again. This would not be a breakaway gap, okay, because you can clearly see we close at the same time at the low. I bet you this would be a good inversion though, maybe back up to these highs. Okay. This would not be a breakaway gap, so I'm actually going to long this because we swept sell side. This would be your 2022 model. We get our market structure shift. So to me, this is a pretty good long. And I'm actually going to try to make this like a D.9R trade. Okay. If we hit like this high, I'll move south to break even. Let's see. Curious if it's gonna hit this low or not. Okay, so that's just a complete fail. That's also I usually move my stop to break even when we hit this high. That's actually why I do it. That's actually a really good example. The market structure shift is right here. Yeah, so that's actually a break-even trade technically because we hit the internal high, then we go back down to entry. In my opinion. Alright, let me keep playing this. Yeah, I know, my break-even technique is insane. Alright, so we have another market structure shift here. Okay, I'm just really looking for... So again, this is another break-even trade if you take like the 2022 model because this is not a break... This is the breakaway gap actually. But you can see we end up going back up, hit the internal liquidity, and the bias is wrong. So what happens? We hit the internal liquidity and we go back down again. Backtesting some breakaway gap stuff. Let me go to the next session. Okay, this is not a breakaway gap. See, this is a breakaway gap. So I wonder if this would be a good inversion. No, it's not. See, that's a breakaway gap. Oh wait, no it isn't. No it isn't because we hit this low, I think. Yeah, it's got I don't think it is because we did hit this low. This is a breakaway gap. But we already hit like some sort of draw on liquidity, so I wouldn't use this breakaway gap. I'd use this as an inversion. Another breakaway gap here. But we hit the low first. So you can see these breakaway gaps are valid, but we're hitting these lows first. So I'd use this in inversion if we got it. Alright, there you go. If this fails, I know this is not a fail. Like, this is 100% winner play right here. At least this is a free trade every time. I know if this fails, I just bet you the futures data hit this high. Yeah, Antarcticus, that would be helpful. So I bet you if this trade fails, it's because this is CFD data, and I bet you the futures hit this high because this should be a play that never, ever, ever loses, ever. This is never going to be a losing play. We do have equal lows here. I bet you these aren't equal lows on NQ though. Like this is, you got to realize this is CFD. This isn't actually futures data. That's why I don't like FxReplay. Okay, there you go. So that's a break-even trade right there. Let me just get out. Like I knew, like again, I knew that had to work. Same with this one right there. Like that play will not fail to this high ever. Here's another breakaway gap right here. So basically, but this could have technically been the draw on liquidity, so I wouldn't really count that anymore. Okay, now it looks like this is the draw. Do we have like a 5-minute breakaway gap? Okay, this is not a breakaway gap because we closed back above. Okay, I'm gonna long. Dude, no, I can't. I can't long this because we're rejecting this, so I don't really know what the draw is right now. And it still works anyways. Does it? Does it? Oh, no. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't even work. I didn't like that long because we were delivering from this external fair value gap, so I'm not going to trust this one. All right, let's look for another breakaway gap. Okay, this is not a breakaway gap. See, this is technically a breakaway gap. So let's see if we... Alright, we inverse that. So I'm actually going to try long here with the thesis. Okay, this is a breakaway gap. Because we did close under. So it's just going to be a little 1 to 2 RR here. Okay, stop a break even right there. That's a break even trade. So you guys see how that saves me every time? Like, that's a break even trade right there. Because we hit the new internal high, went back down to entry, and it stops us down anyways. So that was a break-even trade. Again, I know it's a loss. It's not really a loss. It's just FxReplay dog shit. But so this is no, this is not actually a breakaway gap. Interesting. Okay. So it's not a breakaway gap, and it does work. And then we hit the draw on liquidity. Okay. See, this would be our breakaway gap. So I'm assuming this inversion's probably going to work. So I'm going to actually take a long here. And it does not work. Well, oh wait. Well, we hit FOMC. That's why it didn't work. Another thing about backtesting, I didn't know that was FOMC. Obviously, I wouldn't have taken that if I knew that. So we had FOMC there, unfortunately. This whole day's been FOMC. I didn't even realize. Alright, well, I know we have FOMC now. Okay, this is a breakaway gap. So here, I would say the draw on liquidity is probably as high, so we should not hit this because it's a breakaway gap because we close way above. We should not hit that. So the stop loss will be here. And we'll see if we can get like a little 1-to-1 out of this. No, I don't trade before FOMC. Like, I would have never traded this if I knew FOMC was at 2 o'clock. This fails. No matter what the bias is. Like, the bias is bullish here, but we have FOMC. So price is not going to be logical before FOMC. So what happens is we close back below and then we close above. That's like a reason I just don't do it. Batman, I'm backtesting breakaway gaps. Like I watched Arjo's video about it, and basically what he says is if we close above this, like the candle that makes a fair value gap, if we close above it, do not take this. So let's see if this works. Nice, so that worked nicely. So that was a breakaway gap. And I gotta forward test this way more. So now I hit the draw on liquidity. Let's see if we get like a market structure shift here. Wait, this technically wouldn't be the market structure shift because we have to break the low that makes the high, right? This low did not make a high. Okay. This to me should work because it's a technically breakaway gap because we close way below it. So this should work as an inversion. And I'm not saying like, oh, this should work for an inversion because I know it's gonna. This is me back testing. Will it work as an inversion? I'm kind of like hypothesizing here. So I'm thinking because we closed above, it should work as an inversion or at least give us a free trade. Let's see. Oh, and we closed. So we closed below. Let's see what happens. So it looks like it's gonna stop us out anyways. Yeah, so it stops us out anyways. So again, from what I've hypothesized so far, it does not seem like a breakaway gap's a good inversion. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, because like in general, I would not think this is a good inversion because again, one, we've taken a bunch of buy side. I never longed that in my life. So we took a bunch of buy side. I was kind of hypothesizing, does an inversion mean, or does a breakaway gap getting broken mean it's going to be inversion even if we take buy side? The answer is still no. Okay, the answer is liquidity still matters more than a breakaway gap. That's what I'm. That's kind of I'm learning right now. Let's see if we get a breakaway gap here. Okay, so this is not a breakaway gap, and it looks like we have a draw on the. No, I wouldn't say that. This is a giant BPR, so I would not. I actually think this is probably going to be a short. Let's see. This would be a good inversion. Do we get the entry? Yeah, we don't even get the entry. So I figured that'd be a good short if we got it, but no entry there. Okay, I'm gonna back test one more. See, this is a breakaway gap, but again, it works. The other thing is, the other thing is this. Because we did take out the internal high here, maybe that's why this isn't a breakaway gap technically. Bet you that's why. Again, it's a lot more back testing I'll have to do on this method. Okay, this session's getting trashed. One more. I'm gonna get out probably. Okay. Okay, so this isn't a breakaway gap. Let's see if there's more draw higher. No, not really. That's not a breakaway gap. This is your breakaway gap right here. Because we close way above. But now you hit the draw, so now it wouldn't be. This would also be a breakaway gap. So wonder if this works in inversion. We'll see. See, this is technically a breakaway gap because again, that candle right here closes way above this high, or closes above this high. So according to Arjo, that's a breakaway gap. So we'll see, will it work in inversion at least to this low right here. Again, I'll probably target further, but and it just doesn't. See, so again, not really finding a lot of success with these breakaway gaps that he's talking about, which automatically makes me not really like the video. Again, probably not an inversion I touched. Maybe the 15-minute held. So this actually wouldn't be an inversion or a valid one. I mean, this would be a valid inversion of the 15-minute. So this actually should work for a short right here. This is like a 100% win rate short. If this fails, it's not going to fail. I know that. If this fails, I'll quit trading. And wow, it failed. Damn. So again, just really bad price action here. Just that's all CFD. This isn't my fault. This is all CFD stuff. This is not futures. This is futures. This body probably did not close below on futures, if I had to guess. Yeah, this is just why backtesting an FxReplay sucks. I guarantee if I go into futures chart and look at this, we probably did not close below. Alright, let me try to find one more example real quick. Yeah, but you really can't do like plays, which kind of sucks. Alright. Yeah, you can, but it's not like the same. I don't know how to explain it. So this is not a breakaway gap. Okay, so we'll say, okay, buy side's up here. So how long this if we get it? We'll go 10% of the count. Okay, there's the entry. And that fails. This is our version. So again, what Arjo is teaching is not very valuable in my opinion. Just based off this backtest I've done, like this is just not valuable at all. Like, cause like I never take this trade ever in my life. So again, probably not gonna apply this stuff in my trading. That's my thoughts on this stuff that he's teaching. Yeah, just not really useful in my opinion. Just this is not that high probability. Again, this would be a breakaway gap again, so this should work for an inversion. So based on his logic, this would be another inversion play. Target the highs again. If this fails, I know this is BS. Let's see. No fail yet. Again, candle did not close below. Okay, there's the break even. So this is actually a free trade here. I know I stopped out, but that's because FxReplay. So that was a break even trade at least. So you can see the body candle held. We didn't close below. Then we hit the internal high, so that's a break even trade. See if we get another fair value gap up. Okay. Here's another interest. So this would not be a breakaway gap according to him because we didn't close below. So this would be another long. Let's see if it gives us an entry. Okay, so that one did work, and we knew that wasn't a breakaway gap because, again, this candle is not closing above. So that's interesting. Yeah, this did have an IFEG as well. This would be a breakaway gap right here. So this is going to be the last one I'm going to try. We hit buy side here. We broke the low that took the high with a market structure shift. So according to him, this is if this does not work, this is absolute BS, bro. Yeah, there's no way. That was like a textbook breakaway gap right there. Oh wait. See, that's not even valid. This is 10 o'clock news. Or this is wait. Maybe not. Was this a news candle? Oh no, that was 9:30. Okay, let me see if this still works without hitting the high. That'd be a break even. So this would be a break even trade. If you had a stop at the high. Yeah, this is just we were at all time highs. We never even went down. This is dude, I'm gonna suck when we are at all time highs. Oh my god, this is horrible. That was like a clear market structure shift and this just fails and we're at all time highs. Like why would this work for long? I'm just testing breakaway gaps, Ray. So this is just another example of again, failed breakaway gap right there. Go to the next session. Maybe it was the time. Oh, I see why. It was the time. This was 3 a.m. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so this was actually more of a time thing. Has to be in the New York kill zone, in my opinion. All right, 1 second. Let me try one more. Okay, so here's another breakaway gap. So this is going to be the last one I'm going to try. Okay, so that one worked. So again, to me, from what I've seen, they're pretty hit or miss. I mean, not really my favorite. I probably want to apply them in my trading. I'll do some forward testing and kind of see if I can call them out on stream. But from what he showed, again, not really useful to me. In my opinion. Again, it's a lot of hit or misses. Like, they're useful in some standpoints, but not really every standpoint, in my opinion. Like, this would be a breakaway gap as well, and that works. It means if it closes, if we create a fair value gap here and reclose above this high, way above it, that means this one's a breakaway gap. All right, I think that's gonna be it for now. Again, that's my. I just want to give my thoughts on that, and yeah, I'm not really liking it that much. So, yeah, without further ado, I think I'm gonna get off here. I'll upload this recording if you want to watch it back. But for anyone watching who wasn't here last time, not really loving it. I do see some that I do like, just not a lot. Like, I mean, knowing that this is a breakaway gap can be useful. Like, knowing this is a break, because then that's useful to this inversion working. Like, that's like the only scenario I think I'd use it in. But I already kind of do that naturally, so it's not really something I need to learn because I already do that naturally, as you guys know. But like, here's a technical breakaway gap that this probably doesn't work because we already hit the high here, my guess. So yeah, that's gonna be it for now. See you guys later, and yeah, peace.